Everyone, Namaste. I hope all are doing well. I am very glad to see you again all. So today we are discussing about the P block elements. In that we are studying 16th group. So actually up to 15th group it is completed. So I am starting 16th group. So 16th group elements are also called Charcogens. The 16th group elements other name is Charcogens. Why actually Charcogen they are called? So Charcogen is a Greek word which means brass. So brass is an alloy of copper. So most of the 16th group elements will be exist in the form of ores of copper. So that's why 16th group elements also called Charcogens. So Charcogens are nothing but in Greek word it means brass. So brass is an alloy of copper and most of the copper ores contains elements of 16th group like oxygen, sulfur, remaining one. That's why they are called Charcogens. Charcogens are nothing but formation of oxides, sulfides. They are called Charcogens. Now, 16th group elements are oxygen, sulfur, selenium, tellurium, and polonium. Oxygen, sulfur, selenium, tellurium, and polonium. Remember that polonium is a radioactive element. So it is a radioactive element. So before the 16th group, 15th group elements are there. In 15th group, we study nitrogen, phosphorus, arsenic, antimony, bismuth. The last element is the bismuth. After the bismuth, next element will be polonium. But bismuth is a non-radioactive element. That means up to 15th group, radioactive elements are not there. From 16th group, the last elements must be radioactive element. So polonium is a radioactive element. So these are the elements of 16th group: oxygen, sulfur, selenium, tellurium, polonium. So when we are observing the abundance or occurrence of the elements, oxygen mostly 21% of atmosphere. So 21% of atmosphere contains oxygen by volume. So in the atmosphere 21% of volume is occupied by oxygen. And also nearly 44% by mass of earth crust. Not 44, exactly 47. So 47% of mass of earth crust contains oxygen. In atmosphere 21% of volume, and in earth crust 47% of mass present as oxygen. So oxygen is the most abundant element in the earth crust because mostly 47% of earth crust contain oxygen in the form of oxides. Similarly, sulfur will be present nearly 0.03 to 0.1%, and this sulfur is mostly present as sulfides and sulfates. So sulfur mostly present as sulfides and sulfates. It contains mostly 0.03 to 0.1% of earth crust. So sulfur mostly available in the earth crust, that is 0.03 to 0.1% as sulfides or sulfates. So number of sulfides are there. Copper sulfide. So sulfides can be PbS, lead sulfide. So this is called galena. Zinc sulfide. This is called zinc blende. Similarly, CuFeS2. So copper iron sulfides. These are called pyrites. Pyrites means sulfides of copper and iron. So all these are sulfides. Similarly, like sulfates, the number of sulfates are there, like calcium sulfate 2H2O. So this is nothing but gypsum. So the formula of gypsum is EaSO4 2H2O. Also magnesium sulfate 7H2O. So this is called Epsom salt. So Epsom salt is MgSO4 7H2O. Gypsum is the CeSO4 2H2O. Similarly, barium sulfate is there. So this is called barite. So barite is the barium sulfate. Epsom salt is the magnesium sulfate 7H2O. Gypsum is the CeSO4 2H2O. So all these are sulfates and the sulfide. So sulfur exists in the form of either sulfides or sulfates in earth crust, and it constitutes 0.03 to 0.1%. Oxygen is 21% in the atmosphere, 47% of mass of earth crust. Remaining selenium, tellurium. So both are present in traces of sulfides of any other ores. So most of the sulfide ores contain some components of sulfide, selenide and telluride. Selenium, tellurium present in very rare. So polonium, as I told, it is a radioactive element whose half-life will be 13.8 days. Polonium half-life will be 13.8 days. So it can be obtained by disintegration of thorium or uranium. So thorium, uranium on disintegration produce polonium whose half-life will be 13.8 days. So note down all these points. So all this is the occurrence of the 16th group elements. So oxygen occur in the atmosphere also, in the earth crust also. Remaining sulfur, all these are available in the earth crust. Sulfur will be available in the form of sulfates and sulfides. Selenium, tellurium will be occur in the sulfide ores. They are very trace amount, very small amount. So polonium will be, it is a radioactive disintegration of thorium or uranium will produce polonium whose half-life will be 13.8 days. So this is the occurrence of 16th group elements. Now when we are observing electronic configuration of 16th group, so the general electronic configuration of 16th group will be NS2Np4. Since all 16th group elements containing outermost valence electrons will be 6, and the 2 electrons present in the s subshell and the 4 electrons present in p subshells. So NH2Np4 is the general electronic configuration. For example, if you are observing oxygen, sulfur, selenium, tellurium and polonium. So oxygen atomic number must be 8. Sulfur atomic number must be 16. So how to identify atomic numbers? So remember that there will be some magic numbers 2, 8, 8, 18, 18, 32, 32. So these are called magic numbers. So by adding these magic numbers, we can identify atomic number of any group. We have periodic table, have 18 groups are there. In any group, by knowing the elements, we can identify atomic number. So how to identify? Suppose the 16th group. In 16th group, it starts from 8. So actually, oxygen atomic number will be 8. 8 plus 8 will be 16. Next 16 plus 18 will be 34. 34 plus 18. It will be 52. 52 plus 32. It will be 84. So these are the atomic numbers of 16th group elements. So remember these numbers. These are the magic numbers. So how to write the magic numbers? If you are studying for P block from 13 to 17. Either we are identifying 13th group atomic number 14, 15, 16, 17. From 13 to 17, the atomic numbers can be identified by starting from the third magic number. First element atomic number, we add with the third magic number. So 8 plus 8 will be 16. Next magic number 16 plus 18 will be 34. 34 plus 18, 52. 52 plus 32, 84. Another example, suppose we are taking 14th group. Suppose in 14th group the elements will be carbon, silicon, germanium, tin and lead. These are the 14th group elements. So we know the atomic number of carbon. Carbon atomic number will be 6. So this is a 14th group. From 13 to 14, it starts from third magic number. 6 plus 8, it will be 14. 14 plus 18, it will be 32. 32 plus 18, it will be 50. 50 plus 32, it will be 82. So with the help of magic numbers, we can identify atomic number of any group. Mostly we are studying P block, that's why I am telling for 13 to 17th group. For 13 to 17th group, it starts from the third magic number. So first element atomic number, we added with third magic number, we get the atomic number of next element and continuation. So this is the atomic number of 16th group elements: 8, 16, 34, 52, 84. Now when we are writing the electronic configuration, the oxygen electronic configuration will be 1s2, 2s2, 2p4, 2, 4, 8. So total 8 electrons are there. 1s2, 2s2, 2p4. And remember this 1s2 is the configuration of helium, which is a noble gas. So in place of this 1s2, we can write helium, because helium atomic number is 2, whose configuration is 1s2. That's why in place of 1s2, we can write helium. So the oxygen electronic configuration: helium 2s2, 2p4. Similarly, the next element is sulfur. The next noble gas must be neon. So after the neon, the configuration will be 3s2, 3p4. The next shell, so oxygen to sulfur, shell number increases. Second shell to third shell. Similarly, selenium, the next noble gas, helium, neon, argon. The configuration will be 4s2, 4p4. Similarly, for tellurium, it will be krypton into 5s2, 5p4, and xenon 6s2, 6p4. So this is the electronic configuration of 16th group elements. So observe this: except this noble gas configuration, the outer electronic configuration all are same: s2, p4. Only shell number is changing: 2s2, 2p4, 3s2, 3p4, 4s2, 4p4, 5s2, 5p4, 6s2, 6p4. So that's why generally we are writing ns2, np4. All these 16th group elements has 6 valence electrons. The 2 electrons present in the s shell, s subshell, and the 4 electrons present in p subshell. This is the general electronic configuration. So identifying the atomic number and writing of electronic configuration. So next we will see some physical properties of these 16th group elements. We completed occurrence and electronic configuration. Now we will see some physical properties. The elements are oxygen, sulfur, selenium, tellurium and polonium. But whenever we are studying chemical properties, the polonium we can be omitted. Why? Because it is a radioactive element. Its study is a separate study, that is called nuclear chemistry. So radioactive elements always study in nuclear chemistry. So these are the 16th group elements. Among these 16th group elements, oxygen and sulfur both are non-metals, and selenium, tellurium both are metalloids. So metalloids means some metallic character also present, some non-metallic character also present, whereas polonium is a metal. So top to bottom when we are moving, metallic character increases. Metallic character increases top to bottom. Oxygen is a non-metal, whereas polonium is a metal. So top to bottom, metallic character increases. So we are observing atomic radius. Atomic radius. So we know the definition of atomic radius. It is the distance between center of the nucleus to outermost orbit. So when we are moving top to bottom, oxygen belongs to second shell, the sulfur belongs to third shell, fourth shell, fifth shell, sixth shell. So top to bottom, shell number increases. So due to increasing of shell number, atomic radius or simply size will be increases. So atomic radius top to bottom increases. So sometimes it is also called covalent radius. So covalent radius is nothing but simply bond length, half of the bond length. Oxygen, small size. Sulfur, size will increases. Selenium, size will increases. So when you are moving top to bottom, covalent radius is also increases. So atomic radius, covalent radius, also called ionic radius. What is ionic radius means? So all of these non-metals, all of these 16th group elements, the oxidation number mostly they exhibit -2. That means they will gain 2 electrons for the octet configuration. They will form negative ions O2 minus, like S2 minus, Se2 minus. So there are forms ions for the octet configuration. After forming ions, their size is called ionic radius. So ionic radius is also up to bottom increases. So all are same: atomic radius, covalent radius, or ionic radius. So top to bottom increases. Remember this, I means increases. Top to bottom increases. Similarly, another factor is electronegativity. All we know that electronegativity is the tendency of accepting electrons. So with how much tendency, with how much capacity it can gain electron, that is called electronegativity of that element. Since oxygen is a very small in size, so top to bottom size is increasing. Oxygen is the small in size, so oxygen gaining capacity will be higher when compared with other element. So electronegativity top to bottom decreases. Oxygen is the most electronegative element, whereas polonium is the least electronegative element in the 16th group. So electronegativity top to bottom decreases. Another one, ionization energy, also called ionization enthalpy. Ionization energy or ionization enthalpy. So what is ionization energy? It is the amount of energy required to remove the outermost electron from an isolated gaseous atom. Suppose when you are observing the 16th group element, oxygen belongs to first shell, second shell, whereas sulfur belongs to first, second and third shell. Selenium belongs to fourth shell. So top to bottom when we are moving, so due to increasing of shell number, atomic radius or size will be increases. When size is increasing, ionization energy will be decreases. Why? Because ionization energy is inversely proportional to atomic radius. Simply observe this. This is the nucleus and this is the outermost electron. nucleus and outermost electron. So here in this, due to small size, outermost electron will be strongly pulled by the nucleus. But when distance is increasing, the pulling attraction will be decreases. Here attraction on the electron will be less. Here attraction on the electron will be high. So removing of this electron will be very difficult. So we must give more amount of energy to remove that electron. But here attractions are less. We require less energy to remove the electron. So smaller the size, more the energy required to remove electron. That's why ionization energy inversely to atomic radius. So we know that atomic radius top to bottom increases. Hence ionization energy must be top to bottom decreases. These are some physical properties: atomic radius, covalent radius, ionic radius. All are there simply size. Atomic radius, this size of one atom. Covalent radius, between two atoms, half of the bond length. Simply we are calling as covalent radius. Ionic radius, when elements are either losing or gaining electron, after that the size is called ionic radius. Electron activity, tendency of accepting electron. Small atom has strong tendency, whereas large atom has small tendency. Ionization energy inversely proportional to atomic radius. So all of you write the note this. Another property is electron gain enthalpy, also called electron affinity. We can call electron gain enthalpy, also we can call electron affinity. So this electron affinity, first of all, what is electron affinity? So we have seen ionization energy. From an atom, to remove electron, we must give some amount of energy. So that energy is called ionization energy. So electron gain enthalpy is opposite to ionization energy. Just sign is opposite, value must be same, magnitude must be same. So what is electron gain enthalpy is, in any atom in the outermost shell, when we are adding electron, energy will be released. So on addition of electron, energy will be produced. That produced energy is called electron gain enthalpy. On gaining of electron, enthalpy means energy, it will be released. So that is called electron gain enthalpy. So electron gain enthalpy, ionization energy must be same values with opposite sign, because processes are opposite. One is removing electron and one is adding electron. And this electron gain enthalpy also inversely proportional to atomic radius. That means smaller this size, electron can be easily we can add due to strong attraction. So energy will be more releases. So electron affinity inversely proportional to atomic radius. So we expected is top to bottom electron affinity will be decreases. Since oxygen is the small size, it releases very large amount of energy, and polonium will release high amount of energy. But actually, the electron affinity, first oxygen to sulfur will be increases, and remaining from sulfur to polonium will be decreases. This is the actual order of electron gain enthalpy. So highest electron gain enthalpy will be sulfur. After that selenium, tellurium, polonium and oxygen. So oxygen will be the least electron gain enthalpy. Why? Because it is a small size, it is expected to be highest electron affinity, but actually it should be least electron affinity. Why? Because here oxygen is exceptionally very small in size. When compared with remaining elements, its size is very small. Since oxygen is very small in size, it contains only a second shell. It already contains 6 valence electron. So in the outermost shell, there are 6 valence electrons. Due to small size, the availability of space is very small. So the addition of electron on this small place will get some repulsions. Already electrons are present in the outermost shell. These electrons and the coming electrons will undergo repulsions. So these are called inter-electronic repulsions. So due to these repulsions, the releasing energy will be less when compared with actual value. So that's why in oxygen, the electron affinity will be less than the expected due to inter-electronic repulsions. The reason is due to very small size of oxygen. So due to small size, the space availability is very less and the coming electron will feel some repulsions with the already present electrons. So these inter-electronic repulsions causes decreasing of electron affinity. But in remaining all, as usual, electron affinity top to bottom decreases. So highest will be sulfur, the least will be oxygen. Remember, these orders are most important. So not only in the 16th group, in the group number 15, 16 and 17, among these 3 groups, here element is the nitrogen, next is the phosphorus. Here oxygen, sulfur, here fluorine, chlorine. So the second element always more electron affinity than the first element in these 3 respective groups 15, 16, 17. The reason is same. Here nitrogen, oxygen, chlorine. So these are exceptionally small. Due to that, they exhibit less electron affinity than the next element. So next element, second element will be the highest in the group. So remember these 3 groups. In these 3 groups, the first element will exhibit small electron affinity due to small size or due to inter-electronic repulsions. So this is the electron gain enthalpy and this will be the order. Write the order: sulfur, selenium, tellurium, polonium and oxygen. Another important property is oxidation states. The oxidation states of 16th group elements. In oxidation states, so as we know, all these 16th group elements containing valence electrons must be 6. All are NH2, NP4. All are 6 valence electrons. For the octet configuration, each element required 2 electrons. So they can easily get 2 electrons and get the octet configurations. Whenever getting electron, the charge must be 2. Hence, the oxidation state of 16th group element, common oxidation state, will be -2. Similarly, since they contain 6 electrons, we can take +6 is also common oxidation state. +6 is due to the presence of 6 available valence electrons. -2 is due to getting of 2 electrons for the octet configuration. So these two are actually common oxidation state. But along with these two, other oxidation states also possible. Another important is +4. Why they exhibiting +4 oxidation state? The +4 oxidation state, top to bottom when we are moving, the stability will increases. In +6, top to bottom when we are moving, stability decreases. +6 oxidation state stability decreasing, +4 oxidation state stability increasing. The reason for both is due to inert pair effect. So all of you know what is inert pair effect is. Because of this inert pair effect, stability of +6 increases top to bottom, +4 decreases, +4 increases top to bottom, +6 decreases top to bottom. So what is inert pair means? So the general electronic configuration, as I told, NH2, NP4. So this is the general electronic configuration of 16th group elements. Even though they contain 6 valence electrons, sometimes the 2 s electrons does not participating in the bonding. This process is called inert pair effect. Pair means 2 electron, inert means not participating or non-reactive. So 2 s electrons does not participate in the bonding. Why? Because wherever d orbitals and f orbitals are coming, because of their poor screening effect, these s orbitals will not participate in the bonding. So simply one line explain what is inert pair effect is. So we know the configuration of oxygen 1s2, 2s2, 2p4. Sulfur configuration, just outer combination I'm writing 2p6, 3s2, 3p4. We have 3d10, 4s2, 4p4, 4d10, 5s2, 5p4, 4f14, 6s2, 6p4. So this is the outer electronic configuration of 16th group elements. So these are valence electrons. See this? All are containing 6 valence electrons. 2, 4, 2, 4, 2, 4, 2, 4. Now see this. Before this 6 valence electron, the orbital is s orbital. And before this 6 valence electron, the orbital is p orbital. S orbitals and p orbitals will show highly screening effect. That means they can screen the outer orbitals. That means on the outer orbitals, nucleus attraction is very less since these are screening the outer orbitals. But here d orbitals or f orbitals are entering. D orbitals and f orbitals will not screen the outer orbitals properly. Due to that, nucleus will attract outer orbitals. So after the d orbital, here s orbital is there. So these s electrons are pulled by nucleus. So due to that, these electrons will not participate in the bonding. That process is called inert pair effect. So wherever d orbitals and f orbitals are entering, the outer s orbitals are attracted by nucleus. So due to that attraction, they will not participate in the bonding. The process is called inert pair effect. So due to inert pair effect, if s electrons are not participating, only 4 electrons are present. So the oxidation 4 will be increases top to bottom, and oxidation state 6 will be decreases top to bottom. That's why plus 4 increases, plus 6 decreases. The reason is due to inert pair effect. So what about minus 2? Here plus 4 stability increasing, plus 6 stability decreasing, and minus 2 stability decreases top to bottom. Why? Because when we are moving top to bottom, metallic character increasing. When metallic character increasing, the negative charge oxidation state will be decreasing. Non-metals will show negative charge, metals will show positive charge. That's why minus 2 oxidation state, top to bottom decreases. So these are the common oxidation state, minus 2, plus 4, plus 6. Sometimes also they will show plus 2 also. Remember, these are the oxidation states, minus 2, plus 4, plus 6, plus 2. These are oxidation states of 16th group elements. So oxygen generally will show minus 2, but whenever it is coming in peroxides, it will show minus 1 also. In superoxides, minus 1 by 2 also, in some rare condition. Normally non-oxides, it will show minus 2, minus 1 in peroxide, minus 1 by 2 in superoxides. Also will show positive charge, plus 1 and plus 2. Plus 1 will show in O2F2, plus 2 will show in OF2. Actually, oxygen is the second most highest electronegative element in the periodic table. So whenever oxygen is combining with any element, it mostly shows negative charge. However, when oxygen combines with chlorine, oxygen will show positive charge. So plus 1 will show in O2F2, plus 2 will show in OF2. So these are the positive oxidation states of oxygen in fluorides. Remaining sulfur, so definitely minus 2, also will show plus 2, plus 4, plus 6. Same like selenium, minus 2, plus 2, plus 4, plus 6. Tellurium, minus 2, plus 2, plus 4, plus 6. Polonium will show minus 2, plus 4 and plus 6. Plus 6 also mostly not shown, only just plus 4. Plus 2, plus 4. Why? Because due to inert pair effect, the 6 stability top to bottom decreases, or simply does not show plus 6, only up to plus 4 it will exhibit. So these are the oxidation states of 16th group elements. Oxygen only shows positive with fluorides. Remaining in all molecules, oxygens will show negative charge. Minus 2 in oxides, minus 1 in peroxides, minus 1/2 in superoxides. Remember it. These are the oxidation states of 16th group elements. There are some other physical properties also there. Oxygen, sulfur, selenium, tellurium, polonium. Another physical property will be density. Since top to bottom molecular mass increasing, so density is simply directly proportional to molecular weight. So top to bottom molecular mass increasing, so that's why density also top to bottom increasing. Similarly, melting point and boiling point, top to bottom increases. In the last element, it will be decreases. So the order of melting points will be oxygen, sulfur, selenium, polonium, tellurium. So tellurium is the highest. Only in polonium small exception is there. Both melting point and boiling point, same order. Oxygen is the low melting point because it is a gas in nature. Remaining top to bottom all are solids. Melting points will be increases. Only polonium is the exception. Polonium will be less than the tellurium. This is the melting and boiling point order. Both are same order. So when compared with oxygen and sulfur, between oxygen and sulfur, the melting point or boiling point will be very large difference, since the oxygen atomicity is the just 2. Oxygen will exist in the form of O2, whereas sulfur will exist polyatomic in the form of S8. So because of polyatomic nature, exceptionally increasing the value of melting point and boiling point. Hence, oxygen and sulfur has very large difference of melting and boiling points due to its atomicity difference. Oxygen is a diatomic, whereas sulfur is a polyatomic. So these are the physical properties of 16th group elements. Another important property in the 16th group element will be anomalous behavior. So what exactly anomalous behavior? This anomalous behavior not only applicable to 16th group, it is applicable to each and every group of the periodic table. Mostly in all groups there is a property of anomalous behavior. So anomalous means abnormal. That means different behavior. So which element will show different behavior is every second period elements in the respective group will show abnormal behavior. For example, 16th group oxygen, sulfur, selenium, tellurium, polonium. The first element is oxygen. Oxygen belongs to second period. So it is a second shell. So every second shell element will exhibit some abnormal behavior than the remaining elements in that group is called anomalous behavior. So anomalous behavior is shown by oxygen in 16th group. Same like in 15th group, nitrogen will show anomalous behavior. In 17th group, fluorine will show anomalous behavior. That means in any group, the first element, that means second period element, will show different behavior than the rest of the elements. That is called anomalous behavior. Anomalous means abnormal. And what is that different behavior is? Oxygen, sulfur, selenium, tellurium, polonium. So the first abnormal behavior will be, simply we can write, it's exceptionally small size. Oxygen is a very small size in the 16th group elements. So that we can say it is a different behavior than the rest. Another is highly electronegativity in that group. Oxygen is the, already told, is the second most highest electronegativity. Its electronegativity value is 3.5 something. So it is the most electronegative in the 16th group element, highly electronegative. And the most important property is it has absence of d orbitals. Absence of d orbitals. In oxygen, there is no availability of d orbitals, whereas the remaining elements all contains availability of d orbitals. So as I told, oxygen belongs to second shell. So in second shell, only s orbitals and p orbitals are available. If it is a first shell, only s orbitals are available. Like hydrogen, helium belongs to first shell, s orbital. Oxygen belongs to second shell, s and p orbital. But remaining, sulfur belongs to third shell. S also present, P also present, D also present. It doesn't mean D has electrons. There is an empty d orbitals in sulfur. So remaining all containing d orbitals and f orbitals also. So oxygen, absence of d orbitals. That is the another anomalous behavior. Due to absence of d orbitals, oxygen has maximum covalency is 4. The maximum covalency of oxygen is 4. What is maximum covalency means? The maximum how many bonds can form by oxygen, that is called maximum covalency. So covalency is nothing but number of bonds possible for the atom is called covalency. So oxygen maximum can form 4. It doesn't mean definitely oxygen will form 4 bonds, but maximum it can form 4. It cannot exceed the 4. Mostly oxygen will form only 2 bonds. We know that. So oxygen valency actually is 2. But however, its maximum covalency must be 4. Why? Because since oxygen contains s orbitals and p orbitals, we know that s orbitals are only one orbital, whereas p orbitals will be 3, px, py, pz. So oxygen contains total 4 available orbitals. With these 4 available orbitals, they can form 4 bonds. It can form 4 bonds. It doesn't mean it definitely will form. Mostly valency of oxygen is the 2, only forms 2 bonds. But up to 4 it can form, but more than 4 it cannot form. So due to availability of 4 orbitals. But when you are comparing the remaining orbitals, here d orbitals are available. S orbital, p orbital, and d orbitals are 5. So more than 4, it can form 5, 6, whatever. So more than 4, it can possible. So remaining all atoms can form more than 4 bonds, whereas oxygen maximum covalency will be 4. So this is also anomalous behavior. Another last point is oxygen can only form p5 bonds. Whereas remaining can form d5 and d5 bonds. This is also important point. Oxygen can only form p5 bonds, whereas remaining atoms can form d5 or d5 bonds. What is p5 d5 is? Suppose we are taking O2 molecule. In O2 molecule, there is a formation of double bond between two oxygen atoms. Double bond means one must be sigma, another must be pi bond. So there is a pi bond between oxygen and oxygen. So this pi bond will be formed by overlapping of p orbital of this oxygen atom and p orbital of this oxygen atom. So this pi bond is formed between two p orbitals of oxygen atom. That's why this pi bond is called p5 bond. So oxygen can only form p5 bond since it has only p orbitals. But when we are going for sulfur, suppose sulfur is combining with oxygen. We are taking suppose sulfur trioxide. So this is the sulfur trioxide molecule. In this sulfur trioxide molecule, there is also pi bond. Here oxygen orbital is p, whereas sulfur availability of d orbitals are possible. So the pi bond is called d5 bond. So d5 bond sulfur can form. If sulfur is combining with any d block element, like sulfur is combining with zinc, so this is also d block, this is also d orbital. The bond is called d5 bond. So remaining all elements can form d5 whereas oxygen only form p5 bonds. So this is the anomalous behavior of oxygen. So anomalous behavior means it is abnormal behavior and it is shown by every first element of the group, that is second period element. And that is small size, highly electronegative, absence of d orbital, maximum covalency is 4, and it can form only p5 bonds. This is all these are just physical properties of 16th group elements. So in the next class we will take chemical properties of 16th group elements. Thank you.